In the 90s, Busta Rhymes emerged as one of the most distinctive hip-hop personalities of the times. His clever and complex rap style and lyrics made him a force to be reckoned with as he climbed to the top of the music charts throughout the decade and beyond. It all started in East Flatbush, Brooklyn, New York, when Busta was born Trevor George Smith Jr. in 1972. At age 12, his family moved to Uniondale, Long Island. A few years after that, he would connect with MCs Charlie Brown, born Brian Higgins, Dinko D, born James Jackson, and Cut Monitor Milo, born Sheldon Scott. Inspired by fellow Long Islanders Public Enemy and Eric B. and Rakim, the foursome decided to form their own group, calling themselves Leaders of the New School. They landed a deal with Elektra Records right out of the gate when Busta was just 17. Public Enemy's Chuck D was actually the one who gave Busta his stage name. Leaders of the New School dropped their debut album in 1991, titled A Future Without a Past. It featured their first hit, Case of the PTA. Their follow-up album, Time, came just 2 years later. Then, it happened. On national television, no less, for all to see. On a 1993 episode of Yo MTV Raps, hosted by Fab Five Freddy, Leaders of the New School broke up. The group was enjoying their biggest hit so far, What's Next, which went to #1 on the Hot Rap single chart. Behind the scenes, though, the members were beefing. A lot. Especially Busta and Charlie Brown. They were on such bad terms that they even came to blows multiple times. During the episode, all the members introduced themselves for the camera, shouting out leaders in the same breath. All except Charlie Brown. He chose to take a different approach. By the looks on the faces of the other members, they didn't like his lack of unity one bit. After confronting him about it, he let it be known that he didn't want to be in the group anymore. Fun fact, even before the Leaders recorded their first album, the group was having issues and had split up. When the guys went to meet with Elektra, they initially went without Busta, and quickly found out that was a mistake. The label wasn't interested in signing the group without him, so Busta decided to come back for the sake of everyone's dream. Busta especially gained popularity from his rhymes as well as his delivery that was not common of many New York rappers at the time. Raised by two Jamaican parents, he embraced his heritage in his music and image. Out on his own for the first time, he got a little help from some friends, appearing on A Tribe Called Quest, Scenario, the remix of Craig Mack's Flavor in Your Ear, as well as other projects with Boyz II Men, Mary J. Blige, and TLC. He also gave acting a try and appeared in the 1995 John Singleton film, Higher Learning. After securing a solo contract with the same label Leaders was on, Busta's debut album, The Coming, dropped in 1996. 1 month before the album was released, he broke out with the hit single, Woo-Ha, Got You All in Check.
When I step up in the place, say yo, I step correct. Got you all in check.
His sophomore album, When Disaster Strikes, would quickly drop the following year. It produced the hit singles, Put Your Hands Where My Eyes Could See, Dangerous, and Turn It Up remix, Fire It Up. Busta then enjoyed the most success he'd ever had thus far in the pop world, with What's It Gonna Be, featuring Janet Jackson, off his third album, Extinction Level Event, The Final World Front. The single peaked at #3 on the Hot 100 and was nominated for 2 Grammy Awards. Along with the audio success, the video received 4 MTV Video Music Awards nominations and remains one of the most celebrated hip-hop videos of all time. Also at the moment, the Flip Mode Squad, the collective he founded after embarking on a solo career, released their only full-length album to date, titled The Imperial. After his 4th album, Anarchy, dropped in 2000, Busta jumped ship and signed with J Records. Continuing the biblical theme of his previous albums, he titled his next record, Genesis. It was powered by the hit single, What It Is, featuring Khalees, as well as the track Break Your Neck. The final single ended up being the smash Pass the Courvoisier, Part 2, featuring Pharrell and Diddy. Despite the success of those singles, the album didn't sell as well as previous releases. In 2002, Busta released his 6th studio album, It Ain't Safe No More. The album was moderately successful, powered by the song I Know What You Want, featuring the Flip Mode Squad and Mariah Carey. 2 years later, Busta signed with producer and record executive Dr. Dre's Aftermath Entertainment under the umbrella of Interscope after leaving J Records. After 15 years, Busta did something no one saw coming. He cut off his trademark dreadlocks during a photo shoot in a New York barbershop. In an effort to memorialize his transition, he recorded the historic occasion on camera while friends and crew members watched. Busta's 2006 album, The Big Bang, would become the first #1 album of his career. The project spawned the singles Touch It and I Love My Bitch, featuring Khalees and will.i.am. Scoring a top placement on the album chart, though, wouldn't make up for the tragedy that would take place on a video shoot for one of the project's songs. Busta's 29-year-old bodyguard, Israel Ramirez, died after sustaining a single gunshot wound to the chest on the set of the Touch It video in February. Police said that they believe the violence was sparked by an argument between rapper Tony Yayo and a rival producer that spilled out onto the street outside the studio. Days after the incident, the police commissioner told reporters that none of the parties at the scene were making any effort to be helpful in the investigation. As far as Busta is concerned, that may have something to do with his many years of having run-ins with the law. In August 2006, he was arrested and charged with assaulting a fan for allegedly spitting on his car in New York City after a music festival. More legal issues arose for him at the end of the year when he was accused of beating his former driver, quote, with a closed fist about the head and neck, end quote, and kicking him in the ribs and torso during a dispute over back pay on December 26. Apparently, the attack took place outside Busta's Lower Manhattan office and left the driver with cuts, bruises, and substantial pain. In the early part of the following year, Busta refused a plea deal offered by the prosecutor's office for the assault. The offer consisted of 6 months in jail to cover both that assault plus the one in August. He preferred the criminal court judge's deal that would let him plead guilty to third-degree assault and remain free. If he accepted the offer and met the conditions of the proposed sentence, which would include 5 days of community service, 2 weeks of youth lectures, and 6 months of anger management classes, the charges would eventually be dismissed. Ultimately, Busta ended up being sentenced to 3 years probation, plus several other conditions. The judge also warned the rapper to stay out of trouble or else. He didn't listen. A few months later, he was arrested for driving under the influence. In 2007, Busta got into a different kind of trouble when a documentary maker interviewed him and attempted to discuss homophobia in hip-hop. Busta wasn't having it, saying, "I can't partake in that conversation. With all due respect, I ain't trying to offend nobody. What I represent culturally doesn't condone homosexuality whatsoever." He then abruptly quit the interview after being pressed on the subject. Due to a creative clash with Interscope head Jimmy Iovine, Busta then left Aftermath. Back on My BS, Busta's 8th album dropped in 2009 on Universal Motown, and with it came a whole lot of controversy. The first single was the song called Arab Money, and due to its lyrics being deemed offensive to Arabs and to Islam, distribution of the album was denied in the UAE. Some DJs, artists, and fans lambasted the track, saying it portrayed Arabs in a stereotypical way. Busta later apologized for causing any upset, saying that he had intended the song to compliment Arab culture, not insult it. In October that year, a Brooklyn judge ordered Busta to pay a concert goer $75,000 in compensation for an assault which occurred back in 2003. The cash award was offered after Busta missed several hearings. He argued through his lawyer that he wasn't properly notified of the case, but the judge didn't buy it. So what happened? Well, it appears that the fan went to the concert to actually see another artist, rapper Fabulous. Disappointed that he wasn't there, the fan said he stood up so he could leave as soon as Busta left the stage. His standing up, though, drew the rapper's attention. They exchanged words back and forth before Busta splashed him with 1 bottle of water and pelted him with 2 more. Even Busta's bodyguard got some punches in. 2 years after Busta's 2012 album Year of the Dragon was released, he announced that he'd left Cash Money Records due to creative differences. He'd settled at the label after his last home went defunct, but things just didn't work out. After an 8-year hiatus, Busta was back with his 10th effort, Extinction Level Event 2, The Wrath of God. The project features the likes of Kendrick Lamar, Mariah Carey, Q-Tip, and Mary J. Blige, among others. In an interview with GQ published the following month, Busta discussed a series of personal life setbacks which culminated in his father's death in 2014. According to him, his life started to spiral out of control, and he developed a number of health issues due to his lack of self-care. After a major health scare, Busta decided that he had to get his health in order. And he did, by embarking on a strict fitness regimen that involved both training and a healthy diet. The results have both slimmed him down and improved his health dramatically. The main reason behind his decision to begin taking better care of himself was a particular health problem that arose in early 2019. Busta found out that he had throat polyps that blocked the vast majority of his throat, which meant he risked suffocation every time he slept. Fortunately, those were dealt with, and by working out 2 to 3 times a day and eating protein-packed meals every 2.5 hours, he was able to drop nearly 100 pounds. Busta identifies as a member of the 5% Nation. The movement was founded in 1964 when a student of Malcolm X's left the Nation of Islam to establish his own group. Busta doesn't speak much on the subject of his beliefs or attachment to the movement, but he appears to be very familiar with their core concepts and philosophy, considering that his lyrics often reference them. As far as his family life is concerned, he's kept busy with his 6 children, 3 sons and 3 daughters. Sadly, his first child died during pregnancy, a tragic event which Busta told Vlad TV coincided with some of his tougher times with leaders of the new school. Back in 1999, he was the subject of a paternity suit filed in a North Carolina court concerning a 1-year-old girl. According to the Associated Press, the results determined by a 99.9964% chance that he was indeed the father. It seems as though the test was more a formality than anything else, since Busta had been voluntarily paying over $1,200 per month in child support. The child's mother and her attorneys, though, did attempt to have that amount increased, as state laws base the amount of child support payments on the income of the father. Later, his longtime relationship with the mother of 4 of his children imploded due to infidelities on both sides. The separation also led to allegations of abuse on her part, which Busta denied. He would go on to win their lengthy custody battle in 2006. During the case, Busta's attitudes towards LGBTQ people seem to have been put on blast once again, when he reportedly displayed contempt over the fact that his ex had moved on to a relationship with a woman. Busta spent much of 2022 on the road with Wu-Tang Clan and Nas on the New York State of Mind tour, and joined comedian Dave Chappelle for spot shows in the duo's Dave and Busta's concert series. He also released an EP called The Fuse Is Lit and honored the passing of rapper Takeoff with a touching music video for You Will Never Find Another Me, the Mary J. Blige featured highlight from his 2020 album.